Hey, everybody. Welcome to Classic TV Call In for, well, it's Sunday. Let's do this. Let me lower that. I'm getting an echo. That's no good. We'll have to figure that out in just a minute here. We definitely don't want any echo cancellation once we start accepting phone calls. So here it is, Sunday, Father's Day. What is it? June 19th? No, June 18th, right? Father's Day 2023. And here we are on TV Treasures. My name is Dave Sundstrom, and welcome to YouTube, uh, YouTube's one and only, as far as I know, classic television call-in show. And in just a minute, I'm going to start taking phone calls. And the question today, the question for all of you is, of course, since it is Father's Day, who was your favorite TV dad? So I'd love to get your take and have you tell me who your favorite television dad is, and of course, your rationale for that. So, looking forward to those conversations in just a minute. But first, I want to say hello to everybody that's here. Let's see who we've got here so far. We've got Lance Chaffin here. How are you doing, Lance? Thank you so much for the happy Father's Day wishes to you as well. Ken Wilkinson is here. Danny Staten from South Carolina is here. Hey, Dan, how's it going? Let's see who else. I see Cindy D in the chat, and we've got Tracy Roth Myers in the chat as well, and Tom McCluskey is in the chat as well. So, uh, lots of names that I recognize, and it's good to have you over here on my TV Treasures YouTube channel. Welcome to today's call-in show. I hope you're all ready to not only visit in the chat, but perhaps maybe go ahead and do some button pushing on your telephone and let me know who your favorite television dad is. I'm not quite ready yet, but we will be very soon in terms of taking phone calls. So I'm going to do a little bit of checking here on my settings. I was getting echo, which is really weird. I don't usually get that with my StreamYard setup, but you never know. There we go. I've got to figure this out. Why I'm getting an echo. Maybe that will solve the problem. That was the problem. Okay. Now that's interesting though, because I'm still getting the echo, and I don't want to undo the audio there anyway. That is really weird. I've had this setup work in the past, but it doesn't appear to be working. I'm going to stop sharing the screen for a minute, and then we're going to try again here in just a second. Hopefully with me. Nope, I can still hear myself. So let me think about this. Hang on a second. Here's this problem right here. That was the problem. I had a YouTube browser or another browser tab open with YouTube and the live stream on it, which is why I was getting the echo. Okay. Wow. Sorry, everybody, for the technical difficulties. Let me get back here to my share screen and sharing my audio tab. There's the actual, if you want to see behind the scenes what it looks like when I take phone calls, that is the browser page that allows me to do that. But again, the question is, who's your favorite TV dad? So I'm ready to take phone calls now. Keep in mind that I can only take one phone call at a time. And so once you call in, one, don't listen to your computer because there is a delay. But two, once you call in, please, other folks, hang on, don't call until I'm off that phone call. So I am going to look at some of the comments here, but I'm anxiously awaiting someone's phone call. I've got the phone number scrolling on the bottom of the screen. Hey, Todd McCreary's here. Hey, Todd, good to have you here. Cindy D says James Evans Jr. reminded her of her own dad. Very cool. And thank you, Tracy, for the Father's Day wishes. Todd McCreary says Ben Cartwright. Whoa, yeah, that's great TV dad right there. And Lance Chaffin says Mr. C from Happy Days. Good old Tom Bosley. Hard to beat Mr. C. Tom McCluskey says, just met my boy a little while ago, Clint Howard. Yeah, you said you were going to go see Clint. Hopefully that was a fun visit today. Yeah, the echo was totally a brain fart on my part, Tammy. I had a browser window open that I shouldn't have had up. Let's see what else we got. Tracy Rothmeyer says, my fave dad was Bill Bixby from The Courtship of Eddie's Father. What a great actor Bill Bixby was. And a great director as well. Spent a lot of time post his acting career directing situation comedies like Blossom. I remember he was almost all of the episodes of Blossom seemed to be directed by Bill. Let's see. Tracy Rothmeyer says that James Evans was a hottie. All right. Well, that's that's an important part of a popular television dads, right? Okay. Tom McCluskey says Ward Cleaver and Mike Brady, a couple great television dads there. Cindy D was walking with her daughter somewhere. Very cool. Very cool. And yes, it is the 18th because tomorrow's the 19th, and that's when I have tickets to The Flash. Very excited to go see that. All right, folks, come on. Come on. Here we are at YouTube's one and only classic television call-in show. Lance Chaffin, come on, do some button pushing. Danny Staten, come on, let's talk. It's good to have the chat going, and I love the engagement in the chat, but it's not often that we have call-in shows here on YouTube. And I know you're all familiar with the concept. We grew up in an era when there were a lot of call-in shows on the radio. And quite frankly, there's something that I miss. I'd love to bring this back on a regular basis here to YouTube. Tracy Rothmeyer says Brian Keith was an awesome dad, even though he was an uncle. Uncle Bill, yeah. Someone just called and I missed it. Please call again. Yeah. Hey, welcome to Classic Television Call-In. This is Dave Sundstrom. Who am I talking to?
Hi, Dave.
Hey, Lance. I recognize that voice anywhere. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Really good. Really good. I'm going to put up this little phone lines are busy sign here, which will give me a chance to tell folks that, one, when I'm talking to someone on the phone, I can't accept any other phone calls. I don't have anyone helping me here with the phone lines. And it's a single line. So hold off. Don't call me right now. Call me once Lance and I are done talking. So Lance, how's your Father's Day going so far, sir?
I'm good. It just had supper.
Oh, good. What'd you have?
I had mac and cheese and sandwich.
Oh, dude, I love mac and cheese so much. It's one of my weaknesses. So good.
Yeah.
Hey, so what the question of the day is, and maybe you said in the chat and I've already forgotten, but who's your favorite TV dad and why?
Well, Mr. C, Happy Days.
Oh yeah, you did say Mr. C. And why? What is it about Mr. C that makes him your favorite?
Well, he just seemed like he was a wise man.
Yeah.
Always getting Richie and Joni and everybody out of trouble.
Keeping him out of trouble with his counseling. He was also one of those dads that he'd get upset about things, but he was kind in the way that he handled situations. He wasn't, you knew that he was going to, even if Richie or Joni or during the first season Chuck got in trouble, you knew that he was going to handle it in the right way.
Yeah, sitcoms have been known to solve problems in a half an hour.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So what's your theory on Chuck? Where did Chuck go?
Well, I think everybody was focusing on Richie, so they got rid of Chuck.
Yeah. Do you know, I mean, there's some folks say that he died in the war. Do you have a theory on Chuck where he disappeared to, or just
I got a theory for why Happy Days went downhill after a while, because when Richie and Ralph went to the army, that with the show right there.
yeah.
Gone. Then they added Ted McGinley in there and all that, and it didn't work.
It didn't. It was one of those shows that, quite frankly, and I love Happy Days, so it's
And,
hard for me to say this, but it overstayed its welcome.
and I also met Donnie Most in real life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Where did you meet
at
Donnie?
At a golf classic over here in Kansas.
Oh, very cool.
It was called the Peter Marshall Golf Classic.
Yeah, and how was Donnie? Was he a pleasant feller to visit with?
Yeah, we were sitting on the cart right with P.O. I got to talk to him for like 20 minutes.
Oh, that's awesome. What did you guys talk about?
Life, and I told him, hey Ralph, I still got it.
Well, he's an incredible singer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. If you haven't checked it out, he's got some amazing stuff. You can find some of the stuff on YouTube, but he's recorded some albums. He's got a really incredible voice.
Yeah, and Thrash finally got a shirt.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I saw him wearing it the other day. Looks good.
Yeah.
Looks good.
Yeah, and I all spring from my idea on your show about a month ago.
It did. You were the guy that came up with the idea. We were riffing on Flash Gordon, and you came up with the Thrash Pondo idea. That was great.
Wish I could think one for you, but I will.
Well, you've thought of some great ones. It's hard for me to. I don't do a lot of T-shirts, but they're fun to do every now and again.
Well, you got Tug of War reviews.
Yeah, yeah. I'm excited to visit with Tug. I'm going to get him on a live stream here in the not too distant future.
Or me. Hello.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, you know what? The great thing is I have you on every time I do a call-in, which is I appreciate you calling in, by the way, my friend.
Yeah, and you have one for Ian.
Right.
Retro Cereal, the bowl of nostalgia.
Yes, that's a good one. I love that one. I feel a little bad selling T-shirts for other YouTubers. we need to teach these guys how to sell them on their own channels, which is so that they can make the money off of it.
So I'll get with Tug and all that. Yeah.
Sounds like a plan. All right, I'm going to let you go so that I can take other phone calls. Hey, Lance, have a happy Father's Day, my friend.
You too.
Take care.
All right, bye.
Bye. All right, the phone line is open, folks. If anyone else would like to call and visit, I am ready and willing. Let's see. Ted McGinley. Ted McGinley is like Oliver from the Brady Bunch. Well, on some shows he wasn't good luck. The Love Boat and Happy Days. But I mean, come on. This is Ted McGinley from Married with Children, right? So Danny says there's too much background noise right now where he's at to call. Okay. Well, there's other people here. We've got 9 people hanging out. And yes, good job, Lance. Thanks for being the first to call today on the Classic TV call-in show. YouTube's one and only. It's the only place where we have Classic TV call-ins. I read this one already, but yes, Uncle Bill was a great TV dad. And who is to say that you have to be the biological father to be a great dad? That's not the case. And Lance also mentioned Steve Douglas from My Three Sons. Roy Perez, hey, great to have you here, says my favorite TV father was Herman Munster. All right, I've got another phone call. Yes. Welcome to Classic TV Call-In. This is Dave Sundstrom. Who am I talking to?
Hey, this is Todd here.
Hey, Todd McCreary. How are you, my friend?
Okay, fine.
It's good to have you here. What are you doing on Father's Day today?
I'm just hanging out a little bit here. It's late afternoon,
Yeah,
so it's
awesome. Have you
well,
done anything
I
fun
chose.
today?
Well, we had a little picnic and a gospel concert earlier in the day, but
Oh, that sounds nice.
yeah.
Yeah. So
So
go ahead, Todd.
I chose Ben Cartwright,
Yes, you
and that's
did. Let me put
because
that up on the screen. There you are with your choice of
yeah,
Ben
and they
Cartwright.
basically because he always had like some kind of advice, and there was in three different, totally different. They were all his sons, but they came from three different mothers, so he kind of had a different take on each one and understood them different, and knew if he'd send certain people to do certain things if they had to go out of town or something, and he'd send one to go do this or go do that, or they were always getting accused of murder, at least every one of them, at least twice or so. I remember the one where Adam got like kidnapped by this guy who made him work for a silver claim that he didn't have for real, but he just wanted to torture Adam, and they finally ended up finding him at the end of but they looked all over for him before they found him.
Oh, those episodes of Bonanza are good. You know the thing about you mentioned Ben Cartwright, but it seemed to me like Lauren Green, no matter what show he was on, he was always a great TV dad. I mean, there was also there was Battlestar Galactica, and he was Apollo and Apollo's father, and boy, I'm drawing a blank, Athena's father on that show, and he did a great job there. And in Code Red, even though he was the chief of the fire station, he was also a great father on that show as well. Like, he just has that kind of like that strong patriarchal character to him, and of course Lauren Green. I mean, hit that voice, incredible.
Yep.
All
hey,
right.
Dave. Hey.
Go ahead.
Nice talking to you.
It's nice talking to you, Todd. I think, have we talked ever before on a call-in or anything like that?
No, thanks. No.
Well, it's great to have you call in. I appreciate you doing it. I know that it's a little more difficult to do than just visiting in the chat. So thanks for pushing the buttons today, and happy Father's Day to you, sir.
Thanks.
Hey, take care.
Okay, bye.
Bye. All right, that was fun. That's one of the things that's great about these call-in shows is the ability to hear your voices and to connect with you in a different way that's different than responding to your comments or visiting with you in the chat. To actually hear your voice, it's a very fun thing, and I appreciate those of you that are willing to do that. Great work, Todd. Nicely done. Hey, I didn't know that Code Red was on Crackle. That's very cool. I'll have to check it out. I haven't seen an episode of Code Red in a very, very long time. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. I'm going to play a couple videos, and then I'm going to take more phone calls in just a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off the screen so that nobody calls me at the moment. And then those of you that are just been tempted to call me, after I get done with the videos here, I'd really love to visit with you. So we'll be right back. I think I'm going to play a video about a great television dad and then some TV commercials. So be back real soon. Here we go. Today we're talking about the one and only Dick Van Patten, the actor, producer, and all-around Hollywood legend. He's probably best known for his role as Tom Bradford on 8 Is Enough, but he's had a really long and impressive career that's worth talking about. So let's dive in. Dick Van Patten was born on December 9th, 1928 in Kew Gardens, New York. He was the youngest of 3 kids, and his dad was a theater manager and producer. Dick got started in acting when he was just a kid, and he made his Broadway debut at the age of 7, if you can imagine that.
Dick's been in a lot of movies and TV shows over the years. In the 70s, we saw him in things like Love Boat, Westworld. I remember a while back seeing a trivia book that Dick Van Patten wrote. You know, he collected all the trivia questions. Really, just a cool guy. So let's get to the good stuff here. If you're a fan of 8 is Enough, you know that Dick played the family patriarch on that show, Tom Bradford. The show was based on a book by journalist Tom Braden and followed the lives of a family with 8 kids, hence the title. And it was super popular. It ran from 1977 to 1981 on ABC. And Dick's performance as the dad was a big reason why it was so successful. He just had this warmth and kindness to him that made you want him to be your own dad.
America's been waiting for a family show about a real family.
Maybe you're just old-fashioned. Yeah, maybe.
A show that reveals the joys and the sorrows.
You better all dig down and find your pennies because this family could be in deep financial trouble.
The triumphs and the defeats of real people.
Mary, would you lay off him, honey? He's just trying to do his job.
The Bradfords are the family. 8 is Enough is the show. Right after Happy Days and Laverne and Shirley.
After 8 is Enough, Dick kept on acting. He was on Love Boat: The Next Wave and Arrested Development. He just loved being in the entertainment industry. But there's something else worth mentioning about Dick Van Patten, and really this is the reason why I'm making this video. You might not know this, but he helped out one of his co-stars from 8 is Enough in a really big way. This is when Adam Rich was in trouble with the law. He got arrested for breaking into a pharmacy and stealing some drugs, and he couldn't afford bail. But Dick stepped up and helped him out. Here's what he had to do. He had to put up his own home as collateral. How many of us would do that to help out Adam to get him out of jail? That just goes to show you what a great guy he was. Sadly, Dick passed away on June 23rd, 2015. He was 86 years old, but his legacy lives on, both through reruns of 8 is Enough, but there was just so many other things that he did. He had a career that spanned over 7 decades, which I think is pretty amazing. Plus, he was a big animal rights activist, and he was a philanthropist. So not only was he a great actor, he was just really a good person. You know, these days where it's so easy to point a finger at many of the folks in Hollywood and show business as being out of touch and detached, a guy like Dick Van Patten, he's worth remembering. So that's it. Now it's your turn. What do you remember about Dick Van Patten or 8 is Enough? Please share your memories in the comments section. And if you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate a thumbs up. Maybe even consider subscribing to the channel. I talk about music, movies, and mostly TV from decades gone by. You know, the good stuff. But most important,
I use the Sears catalog for odd little items like boxing gloves.
We're at a Sears store to find out why Sears is where America shops.
I think they have good sporting goods throughout. Well, Sears gives me a real satisfied feeling. I bought a set of water skis at Sears, and I'd had them 2 weeks, and one of them broke. And they replaced it without any charge.
Sears, where America shops. Sunday, the Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew come face to face with Dracula. Then,
My sharks can kill.
the conclusion of the $6 million man's fight to the finish with a great white shark. Right after the Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew. Sunday at 7, 6 Central and Mountain. Next, a legendary creature with an unearthly thirst for revenge transforms herself into a giant spider and stalks her next victim. Stay tuned for the curse of the Black Widow.
R2-D2, hurry up.
Hello, welcome to Burger Chef.
We'd like a Star Wars poster, please.
I knew it. Well, all you do is buy a large serving of Coca-Cola for 49 cents, and the poster's yours.
R2, look, it's us. R2, I think we better leave.
Collect all 4 Star Wars posters, only at Burger Chef.
All right, welcome back to Classic TV Call-In Show. It's YouTube's one and only classic television call-in show, and today we're talking about favorite TV dads. I'm going to put the phone number on the screen in just a moment, and I'd love for a brave soul to go ahead and dial that number and tell me who your favorite television dad was and why. Go ahead and take that off the screen. Let's put that phone number back on. The phone line is now open. 801-413-3121 is the phone number. I sure would love to have someone call. So let me go ahead, and while we're waiting here, I am going to take a look and see what's going on in the chat. See if we've had other folks arrive. Zuperplex is here. He says, greatest TV dad ever was Jim Anderson on Father Knows Best. That's awesome. I didn't watch a lot of Fathers Knows Best, and I probably should, because I'm a big Eleanor Donahue fan. Jason J is here as well. He says 8 is Enough has been playing on Roku channel 328. Been watching a lot of it. I only have one Roku player in the house, but that might be a way to watch a little 8 is Enough if it's not on another one of the streaming services. Let's see. Lance says that 8 is Enough is also on Tubi TV. Okay, good. Good to know, because I have Tubi on all of my streaming players. Okay, folks, my two dads. You know what? A little bit later, was it late 80s, early 90s for my two dads? Trying to remember exactly when that show debuted, but another great situation comedy. All right. I'm just sitting here. I'm just waiting. It'd be fun to have someone call in and visit with you a little bit about your favorite TV dad and why. I mean, why not? What better way than on Father's Day here on YouTube to hang out? And it's fun to visit in the chat, but it's also, you know what? I miss those old days of call-in shows on radios and on the radio stations, and you would call in and, I don't know if you were, I loved listening, but I also loved occasionally participating and joining in on the conversation. And just like the radio, folks, if you do call in, don't listen to your computer. There's a delay. Here's the phone call. Let's see who it is. Welcome to Classic Television Call-In. This is Dave Sundstrom. Who am I talking to?
Dave, this is Tom McCluskey, the Hungry Jerk.
It's my buddy Tom from California. Okay. We'll talk about favorite TV dads in a minute, but tell me about your visit with Clint today.
Well, you know what? This is in a Sinister Creatures Con at the Scottish Rites Temple up in Sacramento. And they have a lot of great conventions all the time. They're priced right. They're family friendly.
Yeah.
And he was a really, really nice guy.
Very cool.
You know, a bunch of neat photos, like him and Gentle Ben when he was on Happy Days, with a picture of him and the little Spike Fonzaroli. Actually, it was pretty nice. And actually, he had a lot of people getting his autograph.
Was it just Clint, or was there a number of different celebrities there today?
Oh, they had a lot of people. They also had the guy that played the Friday the 13th. He was there also. I forget his name.
Friday the 13th? It was Jason, or are you thinking of
the Friday the 13th guy? I'm not sure exactly his name, Voorhees or something like that.
Yeah. Jason Voorhees. Jason Voorhees was the character on Friday the 13th.
Yes.
Oh, so they had
that was all the fun today.
Oh, cool.
I'm sorry?
I said they had the
actor.
actor.
They had the original actor there, and they also had another guy that played him also.
Oh, very cool.
From another one of the movies.
Very.
It was a fun show today.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's hot here in California. At least it is here in Sacramento.
Yeah, it's nice here in Utah. It's a cool day with some rain. It's been actually quite delightful. So, great way to spend Father's Day. So, I can't remember in the chat, who did you say was your favorite TV dad?
It's a toss-up between Mike Brady and Ward Cleaver.
Yeah, two really great TV
dads. I remember when Marcia was crying about what she said when she went to her first day of high school. I said that I sounded like an idiot. And Mike started laughing. Well, you know what? It's not the end of the world,
Right.
Relax. Everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
I always like Mike Brady.
And
really good guy.
The thing that's great about both of those characters are the individuals that played them were really wonderful human beings. I mean, Hugh Beaumont. I mean, just the type of person that Hugh was. And then Robert Reed, what a story that guy, and the fact that he was more than just a TV dad, he really became a surrogate dad to those kids. He loved those kids. And even at the end of the run,
them like a cruise to like England.
Yeah, he took them on a trip to England. And he had some
problems with Super 8 movie cameras.
Right, he had some problems with the show and really didn't like the direction that Sherwood was taking it, but he loved that show so much just because he loved those kids.
Right. Now he was a pretty good guy, and the thing they said he died of AIDS. He did not die of AIDS. He died of lung cancer, but AIDS helped it along.
Right.
So everybody thinks he died of AIDS. No, he did not.
Yeah.
That is not true.
Well, and that's so often the case, though, is that when you had AIDS, that you were just victims because your weakened immune system. Other things could take advantage of you. And you're right. Most people don't die of AIDS. AIDS helps along whatever happens. And you're right. He had cancer, and it certainly accelerated probably his demise. There's a lot of cool stories when it comes to Robert Reed, and I loved him as a TV.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites.
He really was, and his friendship with Florence is another great story. She knew for long before anyone knew. She knew that Robert was keeping a secret, and she kept that secret with him. And just such great friends, and they had such tremendous respect for each other.
That's true, and also they said things about Robert Reed that he was gay. Actually, the man was bisexual.
Yeah.
And the thing is, he went for a woman also.
Well,
I guess he just, but he was a good man. I liked him a lot, and I loved this TV show.
Yeah.
Everything he's done.
Yeah, he was great. Also, I don't know if you remember, did you ever watch him in Nurse?
No, I did not.
Yeah, he was in a Nurse, which also starred another great classic TV star, Michael Learned from the Waltons, right? That was her show.
I liked her.
Yeah,
I liked her. Because, I listened to that Judy Norton-Taylor's show.
Yes.
And she has little live streams and things like that.
Yeah, you know what? Her channel
I like her a lot.
Yeah, her channel is wonderful. The fact that you have, Judy, who played Mary Ellen, right?
Yes.
On the Waltons, she is going through that television series episode by episode. She brings on wonderful guests. She's really awesome.
I remember you did something with her several years ago.
Yeah, it's been at least 2 or 3 years ago. I reached out to her, and I've reached out to a lot of different classic television stars, Tom, and there's only been a handful of folks that have been gracious enough to respond and be willing. Many have responded, but a lot of them aren't really interested in doing interviews. And but she is one of those that was just so kind. She was kind in the way she responded to my emails. And then when I got her on Zoom and we had the conversation, I'm not a professional interviewer, and so it requires a little extra patience with me. But she was just really wonderful. I'm a big fan.
Oh, I remember that. She was nice.
Yeah, super nice. Well,
we have an event coming up.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Oh, were you going to say something else, Tom?
I was going to say we have an event coming up in a couple of months. With the few of the surviving members of Night of the Living Dead will be there.
Oh my goodness!
And that's going to be at the Olinda Theater.
I'm familiar with that place.
Oh, isn't that place great?
It really is.
They have so many events there. You know what? Which kind of makes me mad. I missed a couple events that we had, and these actors showed up Mary Lou Henner, and what's her name, Heather Locklear.
Oh, my
But I missed it.
Oh,
I
my
missed it.
goodness.
I would have loved to met those ladies.
Yeah, I have some questions for Mary Lou. You know the deal with her, right?
No, I do not.
She's one of like just a handful of individuals in the world. She was featured on 60
Yes, I
Minutes.
did know that.
The memory thing. You can say to her, June 18th, 1971. And
Sweet. Well, I ate a ham sandwich.
Right. And she'll even tell you what day it was. It was a Monday.
Yes. There's only like something like a dozen people like that around the world.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
And she's
it's,
one.
She says, and I believe this, it's kind of a curse because it's good to be able to forget some things every once in a while.
Yes.
All right, my friend. It's great visiting with
It
you.
was good
Thank you so
talking to you
much.
today.
Happy Father's Day to you, Tom.
Thank you, and hopefully I'll see you again soon.
Hopefully. It's always great
And
visiting
please come
with
out
you.
to California again.
Oh, I will someday. I'm not sure when, but when I do, I'll reach out to you too.
Okay. Dave, thank you, sir.
Take care. See ya.
Good day.
Bye. That was fun. I last year had an opportunity to go to California and hang out with Tom at CroftCon 2022. I was invited by my friend Pat McCormick, and he picked up tickets for us, and it was great. And Tom was there, and it was just really wonderful to be able to visit with him, get to know him a little bit better. Tom knew how much I love Diet Coke, and so we got there, and he immediately found us, and he had in his trunk a cooler full of nice cold beverages, which really came in handy that day. And super appreciative of him. All right. Well, folks, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take another quick break because my Diet Coke is completely gone. I'm going to play a video. We talked about Hugh Beaumont. I'm going to play a Hugh Beaumont video and play a few more commercials, and I'll come back and hopefully someone will want to give me a phone call. So let me take this off the screen here real quick so that I don't get a phone call right this minute. But I'll be back, and I'm hoping to visit with one of you, someone, other brave soul. Give me a phone call today, just not right now. I'll tell you when. Be right back. Let's play that Hugh Beaumont video. What a great guy Hugh is. When I think back to all of the great actors that portrayed father figures on classic TV shows, this guy, Hugh Beaumont, is right there among the all-time greats. Ward Cleaver was a pretty darn cool dad, don't get me wrong, but you know what? Someone who was even cooler and definitely a whole lot more inspirational was the man who played him. So if you're watching this video, you probably already know about the 6 seasons that Hugh played Ward Cleaver on Leave It to Beaver. His portrayal of the family patriarch is nothing more than iconic. And while some of the things that he says and does on this show may seem a little bit corny these days, I submit to each of you that Ward Cleaver was nothing but textbook. This is how you be a dad. Clearly the man just wasn't acting. Beaumont was a father himself, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But first, I think it's important to talk about how Beaumont was a deeply, deeply spiritual man. In fact, he graduated from USC in 1946 with a master's degree in theology. His plan was to become a minister, but while working toward that goal, he had also been pursuing his other passion. Yep, Hugh wanted to be an actor, just about as much as he wanted to be a man of God. So at some point, Hugh decided that he could do both. When given the opportunity, he would definitely preach. In fact, during breaks between jobs, Hugh and his family, wife Kathy and their 3 kids, would spend their time in Minnesota far away from the entertainment industry and all of the trappings that came along with it. Hugh absolutely loved the time away. It allowed him to focus on being a better man, a better husband to Kathy, and a better father to his kids. After Hugh landed the role on Leave It to Beaver, he felt that whenever he could get his family back to Minnesota, back to their simple life, it was a life that not only included the occasional sermon at the local Methodist chapel, but even more importantly, it allowed him to connect
with his 3 children, Hunter, Christy, and Mark. On one occasion, Hugh was required to return to Hollywood as quickly as possible, and it was agreed that while he would fly, the rest of the family would drive back. Unfortunately, on that journey back from Minnesota to California, tragedy occurred. Hugh's mother-in-law was killed, and one of his sons was injured. Hugh was absolutely devastated. As filming for season 3 of Leave It to Beaver commenced, many cast members noticed a sadness to Hugh. Even young Jerry Mathers could tell that something was wrong. Hugh didn't have the same vigor. At times, he just seemed to be walking through the part. As you might guess, Hugh's strong spiritual beliefs and his feeling that there is a life after this one allowed him to pull through the very emotional ordeal. Hours were spent on his knees, pleading with a higher power for understanding, and perhaps even more importantly, a little bit of comfort. And over time, Beaumont was able to find the answers that he was looking for. He was able to once again become fully engaged as a father, fully engaged as a husband, and fully engaged in his role as Ward Cleaver, as an entertainer, so much so that he wrote TV scripts and even directed episodes of Leave It to Beaver. In fact, Beaumont directed the show's final episode, Family Scrapbook. And that's not to say that Hugh's life from that point on was perfect. He suffered a stroke in the early 70s that left him unable to act, and in 1974 his 33-year marriage to Kathy ended. Yep, life has a way of testing each one of us. It's full of hills and valleys. But Hugh knew the answer. One has to keep moving forward, one step at a time, one day at a time. Another quote from Hugh, and I absolutely love this one. It describes the humility of Mr. Beaumont perfectly. He believed that the God that he had studied all those years, the God that he had preached about, the God that he had been there to comfort him, well, he believed that that God didn't care much about Hugh Beaumont, the movie and TV star. He cared about Hugh Beaumont, the man, and even more specifically, what was in that man's heart. Hugh passed away in 1982 from a heart attack. He was with family, visiting his older son Hunter in Munich, Germany. When word got out about his death, the man was remembered by his family and friends not for his on-screen accomplishments, but rather for the overwhelmingly positive impact that he'd had on each one of them. And those feelings extended to his television family as well. Yep, they were right there mourning alongside his loved ones. Alright, one minor gripe. In a recent issue of TV Guide, that magazine ranked Ward Cleaver as number 28 in the 50 greatest TV dads of all time. Personally, I think that's a bit crazy when you look at some of the other fathers that were ranked ahead of him. But you know what? It really doesn't matter. Because the only thing that Hugh Beaumont would have ever cared about was how his actual children ranked him out. And I've got to believe that he is number one in their hearts. So that's it.
Some special Christmas gifts from Radio Shack.
Okay, we'll open just one.
Radio Shack has an incredible selection of electronic games no one can resist. Like Hungry Monster, Gobble or Be Gobbled in a fast-action maze, or Hold Up, handheld electronic cops and robbers, or Caveman, an exciting prehistoric adventure game.
We were just going to open one.
Irresistible electronic games, $7.95 to $69.95, only at Radio Shack, your Christmas electronics store.
Monday. They're not invited. Life is weird.
No one has ever been so publicly humiliated.
How will the Square Pegs finagle an invitation to see Devo at Muffy's party? And on Private Benjamin, has Captain Lewis finally captured the limelight? Two great comedies. Monday.
You know what's new? Diet Coke. And you're going to drink it just for the taste of it. Introducing Diet Coke. You're going to drink it just for the taste of it. Living good with Diet Coke. This is the one from Coca-Cola. Recall the taste with just 1 calorie. Just for the taste of it. Just for the taste of it. Diet Coke.
Because of the following special program, Magnum P.I., Simon & Simon, and Knots Landing will not be presented this evening. All three will return next Thursday at their regular times on most of these stations.
We are back. Let me get more in the center of the screen there. All right, let's see what we got here going on in the comments section. Oh, Zuperplex says, we know who Mr. Sundstrom's favorite TV dad was. Andy Griffith. Sheriff Andy Taylor of Mayberry. Definitely my favorite television dad. And the interesting thing is that on the show, clearly, the episodes didn't all focus on him being a father. There were, always with comedy, but there were episodes where he was trying to solve a crime. There were episodes when he was trying to solve situations in Mayberry between the different community members, the citizens of that town. And of course, there were many episodes where he was actually courting ladies, going out on dates. But there were a lot of episodes where he was Opie's dad and dispensing wisdom that way. And boy, yeah, I sure do love the Andy Griffith Show, and I think he is the greatest television dad ever. So I'm sure that's who you were thinking of when you said that, right, Zuper? All right, folks, let me put that phone number on the screen one more time. Here it is. Welcome to YouTube's one and only classic television call-in show. The phone line is now open, 801-413-3121. It's been so much fun. I've visited with Lance Chaffin, Todd McCreary, and my buddy Tom McCluskey. All wonderful people and great community members, and I would certainly love to end this hour with another phone call. Welcome to Classic Television Call-In. This is Dave Sundstrom. Who am I talking to?
I'm another David. I'm Zuperplex.
Hey, Zuper, how's it going?
Same as usual, I guess. How's it going with you? Happy Father's Day.
Thank you very much. It's kind of rough. I have 3 boys, but 2 of them are not home today. So, and it's great to have one with me. And we went out to lunch, and they gave me a couple of gifts and things. But it's tough when the whole family's not there.
Oh, yeah? Are the other 2 in college?
I have a son that's moved away. He's in Seattle, pursuing a music career, and he's going to school there in the fall. And then the other one is in college as well. All 3 of my boys are in college, but he is in a competitive drum corps marching band type of thing this summer, and so he's in Chicago right now, and they're getting ready for their marching band, or it's called drum corps season, when they'll go out and compete and tour the country, and it's a fun experience for him. He did it last year as well.
Yeah. So I guess he wasn't going to become a medical doctor or anything like that.
No, I don't have any of my boys that have any sort of aspirations to become doctors or anything like that. They're more like their dad and creative sorts.
Into music.
Yeah.
What did you study in college?
I studied communications.
Oh. And I understand you work for a big company that you don't have to mention, but
yeah. Well, I worked in financial services for 28 years and retired a year or so ago. A couple of years now. I've actually gone back to work for another financial services company here in the last 3-4 months, and it's been good to go back to work. Work's good, keeps the mind sharp.
But it seems that the thing that really animates you is music.
Yeah, I love music. I always have, and I'm not a great musician by any means, but I love playing on the guitar, and every once in a while.
Pass that on to your children as well.
Yeah, definitely. I had a sister. I have 2 sisters that passed away from cystic fibrosis.
You had 2 sisters that passed
Right.
away.
Yeah. My youngest sister, Kelly, was one of those gifted individuals that could hear music. She didn't know how to read music, right? But she could hear a song, and then she could sit down on the piano and just play it. And
you played the piano.
Yeah, just by ear. And my youngest son actually has that same talent.
But your sister played the piano, but she couldn't read notes?
Nope, she just could hear it, and then she could translate it to playing it.
How was that? Did she go to
Nope.
play the piano?
Nope. It was just, I don't know how this works. I do not know how someone can do that, but she could hear a song and then sit down at the piano, and within 15, 20 minutes she could, I mean, it wasn't like the perfect version of it, but she could play a version of the song. She just, it's it's just being able to hear the music and play it. I don't know how people do that. I don't have that talent.
I always thought you had to practice a lot to learn to play the piano.
I think if you're like learning how to, I think to be really like accomplished, to be like a classical pianist, you do have to have a lot of practice. But if you're someone that, I'm trying to think what they call those people that can do that.
Child prodigy?
Not well, there's that, but those are typically people that do end up studying the music an awful lot when you're a musical prodigy.
But you didn't have that talent when it came to, say, playing the guitar?
You know what? I don't. Nope, I don't. I don't have much of any sort of rhythm or really the ability to hear music and then play it, but I do love playing, the guitar and just kind of strumming it and coming up with nutty lyrics to go along with my guitar strumming.
Yeah, you had a song. I don't know who wrote it. Was one of your kids, or both of them, or three of them, or you, or all four of you?
Well, I've written most of
most
the songs I've written. I wrote one around Christmas time called "Stupid Stocking Stuffer." That one I wrote with my brother Steve, and that it's fun to have something like some of the songs I've written have been with him. Just it's something to do with a brother, a connection.
Mm-hmm.
So Tom, or excuse me, Dave. Yeah, David.
Yeah.
Tell me about your favorite television father.
Well, it has to be Father Knows Best.
Oh, that's right. You said that.
TV dad.
So
perfect. He's very understanding. He wasn't, disciplinarian sort, and he tried to empathize with his kids. When his kids had any problems, he always seems to solve it. He was a responsible father. He was there for his wife and kids and everybody.
Yeah.
So to me, he was the perfect TV dad.
I think I've only seen a handful of.
When it comes to,
Go ahead.
When it comes to Andy Taylor.
Uh-huh.
But I think he was the best TV dad.
Did you enjoy watching Father Knows Best when you were younger, or is that something that you've started watching during your later years?
Well, I think the show was on before I was born, so I saw it in repeat. But it probably dates from 1960s.
Yeah.
When I started seeing the first episodes, it was on the air for quite a while after the show was canceled.
Yeah, it had Eleanor Donahue in it, right? With Robert Young?
Yes.
So it was before
an
1960.
actress named Chapin. She was on there, and then there was the son.
Yeah, it had to be mid-50s because she was on the first season of the Andy Griffith Show after, and that was 1960. So it's an older show.
Yeah, she played a teenager then, and she was a bit older by the time she got to the Andy Griffith Show. She was probably like in her mid-20s or something.
Yeah, she was a lot younger than Andy. You're right. She was in her, I think she was early 20s. I think she was like 23, 24, so close to mid-20s. And I mean, Andy Griffith was in his 30s, and they were trying to pair the two as a, potential romantic thing. And it didn't work. They didn't have the chemistry, and so she left the show. But I love her character on the Andy Griffith Show too. I have only seen maybe 2 or 3 episodes of Father Knows Best. It's probably one I need to check out a little more of because I like all the actors in it.
Well, it's the thing about the show is that obviously it tries to create an idealized dad, but because of the actor who portrays him, he convinces you that he can be that character.
Yeah.
And that's why, there are characters who are miscast and play roles that really don't fit them. But in this case, they did a good casting decision. And,
Wow. Yeah, Robert Young's a great actor.
Yeah. Yeah, he comes across as being very much, he did later on Marcus Welby,
Right.
where he played pretty much the same role.
Right.
And, it's that sort of empathetic character
Exactly.
that he's able to project that makes the show so rewarding. It makes you want to see it because you wish your family life was just what you saw in this TV show.
Right. Those shows provide an escape, right? They're not really reality. They're kind of what we all aspire and wish for in terms of family life or whatever. And it certainly was a great show. Like I said, I've only seen a handful of episodes. I've enjoyed the ones I've watched. But I didn't.
You
The reason.
you see that in a lot of TV programming at that time, which are these idealized characters.
Yeah.
And the thing is that I don't think that would succeed in this day and age, because I think people are perhaps a little bit more cynical.
Yeah.
But it's one thing that I think that television provided in the 50s and 60s, which is this is the way the world should be. We can get rid of all our flaws and so on.
You're right.
Try to be like that.
You're right. It's as opposed to now, and I mean even in the 70s and 80s, it became this way, which was more of we're going to show it how it really is, as opposed to how it should be. And I don't know. I've enjoyed programming that way too, but I certainly enjoyed, my shows that I enjoyed were Leave It to Beaver and the Andy Griffith Show. And those were the same thing. They were showing life as it should be.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons that I think these shows are so appealing today, is that we don't want to, exist in cynicism all the time.
Yeah.
We want to go back to our youth and remember when we think things were more straightforward, honest, and nicer than the lives we're living today.
Yeah.
It sounds sort of like depressing.
I think our memories play tricks on us a little bit. I'm sure for folks that were going through, the day-to-day, all the troubles of adulthood, it felt like a very difficult time. But for those of us that were kids and growing up during that era, looking back on it now, it certainly feels like a simpler time.
Yeah. The thing about television is that since it was over-the-air broadcast, a medium, it was heavily regulated by the FCC.
Yeah.
There was a lot of things that you couldn't deal with, and I can remember even back in the 60s, there were people who complained about all the violence on TV. And that was the time when you had Westerns and
Wild Wild West. Wild Wild West had major complaints against it.
Well, there was this effort on the way to try to get rid of that.
Yeah.
And I think to a certain extent, you see that reflected in the 70s and beyond.
Yeah.
The 80s in particular, where they cut down on a lot of violence. And the thing was that obviously these companies, they relied on their sponsors, and nobody wanted to deal with anything that's highly controversial.
Right.
So there was a kind of like a cleansing going on. We don't want to have, the worst sides of human nature being displayed. So it's something that cable TV didn't have to deal with. So cable TV could do that, and as cable TV became more of a presence, I think that sort of it affected the broadcast medium as well.
It sure did.
Broadcasters now trying to compete with cable TV,
right?
As far as cynicism and jadedness is concerned. So I think that's why programming today is so different than it was back then.
Yeah. Yeah, they absolutely felt like they had to compete, and so they started pushing the boundaries. And I love some of the programs that ended up on broadcast television. There's still shows I enjoy, but I do enjoy turning on an episode of you name it. Pick an old TV show, Star Trek, Wild Wild West, Andy Griffith, Batman, Father Knows Best, The Outer Limits, Twilight Zone, whatever. And just knowing that you can just have that thing on and there's nothing that's going to be overly offensive that's going to come on, and you don't have to worry about having the kids in the room or anything.
Yeah, except for the fighting and the gunplay.
Yeah. Yeah.
You saw a lot more back then.
For sure.
In fact, you see more people getting shot in, say, a series like Gunsmoke than you do in a show like The Sopranos.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
That's another thing, people saying, oh, you're encouraging, this kind of gun culture when you see people toting guns all the time and shooting them and so forth. And they wanted to play that down back then. And I think to a great extent they succeeded. But it's one of the things that make Western so, attractive and appealing.
Yeah, for
I remember
sure.
when I was a kid, I said, I wish I lived in cowboy days, because in those days, everybody had a gun and a holster. I wish I lived in that sort of environment, not knowing what that really represented.
Right.
You have to defend yourself all the time with guns.
Yeah.
It's one of the things that you fantasize about.
Right. And you remember when you were a kid, David, did you ever have a cap gun or anything like that?
Yes.
It was different
That was
times,
very
right?
prevalent back then.
We don't have those anymore. It doesn't seem like those are things kids have.
Yeah, well, that was very common.
Yeah.
Cap guns, lots of people
Sure.
had cap guns.
Especially around the 4th of July, I remember, and in my neck of the woods, we have a state celebration in late July. And my parents every year would buy us cap guns. And, that was kind of one of the ways we celebrated the holiday.
I can remember once there was this toy which was like a Winchester rifle. It was a Winchester rifle, and you actually inserted bullets.
Oh, my goodness.
Like you do on real Winchester rifles. And the bullets were plastic, and they would shoot out through the barrel. But it wouldn't be just the bullet, it would be the entire bullet, because that's the only way they could shoot it out through the barrel. So had things like that back then.
Yeah. Did it make a noise too? Do you remember?
No.
Just shot the bullet.
Just shoot the entire bullet out the barrel.
Interesting.
Like
Interesting. All right, David, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for the phone call today.
It's been a pleasure, and happy Father's Day. again
Happy
to you.
Father's Day to you as well, my friend.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care, buddy. Bye. Well, that was fun as well. So 4 fun phone calls today. I'm just passing the hour mark. I'm going to wrap this thing up here in just a minute. Thank you to everyone who called today during Classic Television Call-In. Folks, if you think this would be something that you would like to see me do on a more regular basis over here on the TV Treasures channel, please leave me your thoughts in the comments section. And, I'm open to doing this more often, but I definitely don't want to have a show where I'm just continually begging people for calling in. So we'll just play it by ear and see how it goes. The phone calls today, thank you, Lance. Thank you, Todd. Thank you, Tom. And thank you, David, for calling in and just engaging in wonderful conversation. Truly appreciated. All right, we're going to go out of here with a bang. We're going to have a song by the Kids from Caper. We're going to play another video, this one on Andy Griffith and his relationship with Ron Howard. And then we'll do some more commercials. And that'll be it. So happy Father's Day to all of you who are fathers, and all of those of you who have fathers. I hope that you've told those special people in your lives who were either a father or acted in the capacity as a father, that how much you appreciate them. But thanks everyone for joining me today. It's been awesome. And we will talk to you all very, very soon. Take care.
If you got a case that needs super detection, will you come to Capers and we never lose? ET is first, I'm cool and I'm clever, just like a bloodhound, he'll sniff out the clues. Then there is Bugs, I'm tough and I'm feisty, he takes care of trouble cause he's super strong. And Tuesday's the one who's all for full of sunshine. Me and those denim will sure get along. And Dockie's got the looks and the brains to catch the cruise.
Ah, come on.
We're the kids, we're the kids, we're the kids from Caper. We'll race to your place, solve your case every time. We're the kids, we're the kids, we're the kids from Caper. For in a war and no more against crime. We're the kids from Caper. We'll race to your place, solve your case every time. We're the kids, we're the kids, we're the kids from Caper. For in a war and no more against crime. We're the kids from Caper. We're from the crook. We're the kids from Caper. We handle the bad. We're the kids from Caper. We fight the fight. We're the kids from Caper. Get the goods on the hood. We're the kids from Caper.
One of the things that I absolutely adore about the Andy Griffith Show is the relationship of widower Sheriff Andy Taylor with his son Opie. Over the course of the show's 8 seasons, we really got to know this father-son duo and learn a lot from them. The thing that made these two so darn enjoyable was that while Andy did most of the teaching and Ope did the bulk of the learning, every now and again the tables were turned. A great example of that is the Season 3 premiere episode of the series titled Mr. McBeevy, where Andy learned a valuable lesson about trust and listening to all voices, no matter how young or how ludicrous some of the things being said may seem. So while Andy Griffith may have relished the opportunity to be something of a father figure to Ron Howard, who played Opie on the series, according to Andy himself, Ron didn't quite see him that way. Prior to his death, Andy had been quoted as saying, "Ronnie never considered me a father figure. He considered me his friend." So maybe that father-son relationship was just acting, but truthfully, I think Ron Howard saw him as both a father figure and a friend. Ron has often mentioned that after his actual parents, Andy had a huge impact on his life. While working on the Andy Griffith Show, he soaked up all of the knowledge that he could from those around him. Andy taught him about hard work, collaboration, and taking ownership of your art. Additionally, Ron learned that hard work and having a good time didn't have to be mutually exclusive. Ron talked to the Archive of American Television before Andy Griffith's death in 2010, and he said a number of really interesting things. First and foremost, he called Andy a natural entertainer and said that he was the foundation upon which the Andy Griffith Show was built. Ron also said that Andy was a natural leader, albeit an informal one because he wasn't acting as a producer or writer on the series. Ron also shared a really important lesson that Andy taught him about working in film and television. According to Ron, Andy set the tone on the set of their show, and that tone was a playful one when the time was right, when it was appropriate to be having fun. But when it was time to make the show, to get everything just right, to make sure that the jokes landed, that the scenes were funny, well, that was serious business. Ron said that he gained from Andy a sense that it all could be a lot of fun, but there was also a responsibility to get the job done. I don't know, just revisiting Ron's comments again, I get it. He already had a dad, and a dang good one. But if those aren't the lessons of a father figure, well, I don't know what is. Andy Griffith was a special human being. He wasn't perfect, no way. He had flaws a mile long, and during his later years he could be a crotchety old cuss. However, this was a man who remained humble and never forgot where he came from. Andy loved Mount Airy, and quite frankly, the wonderful little town that served as the inspiration for Mayberry loved him right back. To this day, the folks there talk about Andy Griffith and the positive impact he had on them and their town. In a way, you could say he was a father figure for that entire town. Alright, enough yapping. Please share your memories in the comments section. While you're at it, I would appreciate a thumbs up and maybe even consider subscribing to the channel. I talk about music, movies, and mostly TV from decades gone by. You know, the good stuff. But most importantly, and as always, thank you so much for watching.
Why are so many people drinking Diet Coke and seeing Steve Martin and Daryl Hannah's new movie, Roxanne? It's as plain as the nose on your face.
Just for the fun of it, just for the smile of it, Diet Coke. Just for the cool of it, the love of it, the taste of it, Diet Coke. Just for the style of it, Diet Coke. The number one of it, just for the fun of it, Roxanne and Diet Coke.
A double pleasure's waiting for you. A double pleasure from Double Mint Gum. A double great feeling, making you realize Double is the one for you. Double fresh, double smooth, double delicious to chew. A double pleasure is waiting for you. Double Mint Gum. A double pleasure is waiting for you. Double Mint Gum. A double
Wow. All this work's making me really hungry.
McDonald's introduces super summer sizes.
Laughs around the pool make me so thirsty.
Larger than large mega servings of icy Coca-Cola, golden fries, and thick milkshakes, but for a limited time only. So drive through today.
Serve it up summertime.